Yeah, it's interesting, Melanie. Good morning. This time yesterday morning, there was all sorts of enthusiasm that trade risks between the U.S. and China were being reduced. China had agreed to lower some auto tariffs on U.S. auto parts production, and things look good. And then yesterday afternoon, the U.S. president held that news conference with the leadership of South Korea and diminished or lessened the, basically raised the rhetoric between China and the U.S. on the trade front, and it all comes back to this potential summit with North Korea, which may not even happen now. So with that and the uncertainty, investors said, okay, start to sell. And that's what we saw. The Dow dropping 178 points yesterday. And so far this morning, the Dow futures pointing to another decline of about 200 points in the early trade. So again, a risk assessment taking stocks lower. CIBC in with earnings this morning. Second quarter earnings on the Bank of Commerce look pretty good. $2.95 per share. These are just the initial numbers coming in. The Bank of Commerce topping expectations. The focus for the earnings for the big Canadian banks this quarter, all about the mortgage book. How has the slow start to the springtime sales season here in Toronto and Vancouver affected the earnings at the big Canadian banks? They've been offering up some pretty low variable rate mortgages to counteract that and spur on some sales activity. Can't keep the pot stocks down. They were big movers on Bay Street yesterday. Some of them up, well, Canopy Growth had a big performance, up 9.5%. This is the biggest of the medical marijuana producers currently in the market, and the stock was up on the expectation the shares of Canopy will soon be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Others in that sector moving to the upside as well. WestJet and its pilots union continuing negotiations. We don't have any details about what's going on behind closed doors between the two sides, but they're looking to avoid a strike by the pilots. The union has to give 72 hours notice if, in fact, they do decide to walk off the job. But nevertheless, they are still in negotiation. Las Vegas, meantime, if you're planning a trip to Vegas this summer, starting next month, the city could be shut down, at least parts of it, by a major strike by the Culinary Union, which works at 34 different casino resorts. Over 25,000 workers voted in favor of strike activity on June 1st unless a deal can be reached. And that would cover bartenders, housekeepers, cocktail and food servers, bellman cooks, and other kitchen workers at those major casino resorts in Vegas. That's it from here. We'll send it over to Adam.
Thanks, Mike. And it's a good thing that happens after the Stanley Cup Finals because Vegas is in that, right?
That's a good point. But the summer is, regardless of how hot it is there, that's always their busiest time of the year for visitors.